Hello everyone, this is me Divyasha, and today I've come with a new kind of video which can show you all children about the culture of the Japanese people. So as you can already see here, there's a temple so nicely structured, some cherry blossoms in the background, and two women going to this particular temple. So just like that, let's go on to the next slide. So you can see here a bit about Japan. So you can see a little introduction here. So what is Japan? So I guess no one will ask you that question. But just to describe about Japan a bit, I've written that Japan is an archipelago or a string of islands on the eastern edge of Asia. So you can see it sometime further in the slides, and I'll also show you that. So there are four main islands, which are Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, and Kyushu, and there are also nearly 4,000 smaller islands. So that's nice about a country like Japan. So what's next is that Japan is a fascinating country with a long and rich history. So it's filled with unique and interesting cultural customs, from its rich culinary culture to its breathtaking natural beauty. There is something for everyone to enjoy in Japan, with so much to see and do. No, it's no wonder why Japan is so well known around the world. I mean, no one in the world is there who does not know the name of Japan. Even a small kid knows its name. And anyone who even goes to Japan at the starting also is so happy to go there. I mean, they'll be they'll be happy to no bounds. So now you can see this is the map of Japan. So why is it an archipelago? It's an archipelago because this is Japan the whole. These are some little islands which we got there. Sometimes it is also separated, just like that. This is one island, this is another island, this is another, this is another, this is another. That's and that. There are some different islands which together make up the country of Japan. So, what do you have in this slide then? We have the Japan Black, also called Black Japan, which are kind of the same thing, is a lacquer or varnish suitable for many substrates, but known especially for its use on iron and steel. So, if someone asks you why is Japan Black known a lot, or what is Japan Black known for, then you can say that Japan Black is a lacquer or varnish, which is suitable for many substrates, which is especially for its use on iron and steel. So, it can also be called Japan lacquer and Brunswick black. So, I mean, kind of the same thing. So, its name comes from the association between the Finnish and Japanese products in the West. So, where does the association between its name comes from? So, its name comes from the association between the Finnish and Japanese products in the West. So, now we got to know about one period of Japan. So, what's its name? So, during the Nara period, so note that there are many different periods of Japan in which it is talking about the Nara period right now, okay? The Nara During the Nara period, the term zoo, which is kind of written like that in Japanese, the term zoo came into use, but the term most widely used and associated with maps in pre-modern Japan is Ezu, which is roughly picture diagram. So, I mean, Ezu means picture diagram. So, Black Company, which is called in Japan as Bunrakugyo, or you could say Bunrakigyo, is a term for a company that is harmful to their employees' welfare as they don't comply with the Japanese Labor Standards Act. So, what do we know about the Nara period here? We know that during the Nara period, zoo is a term which came to use, which was most widely used and associated with maps in the modern history of Japan. So, which is called Ezu, or in Japanese language, it is also called. Oh yeah, I said you. It's called Ezu, and it literally means picture diagram. So, a black company, which is in Japanese called bunrakigyo, is a term for a company that is harmful to their employees, and not only to the employees but also to their welfare, as they do not comply with the Japanese Labor Standards Act. So, what do we have next? So, next we have, sorry, yeah. So, next we have about Mount Fuji. So, who hasn't heard about the name of Mount Fuji, man? Just look at it. How beautiful it is. You can also see how beautiful it is here and also in here. But this picture is the most beautiful with this particular building. I don't know what it is. So, what do we know about Fuji here? So, we can know about Fuji, or Mount Fuji as it is the most popularly called. So Fuji is the highest mountain in Japan, not the highest mountain in the world, okay? Because Mount Everest is the highest mountain in the world, but also K2 is the highest. Not highest, but one of the highest. So Fuji is the highest mountain in Japan, standing 3,776 meters tall, which is also not so short. So, and situated at the border of two prefectures, Shizuoka and Yamanashi. Mount Fuji. Okay. Stopped. So, where does Fuji stand? So, Fuji is the highest mountain in Japan, standing 3,776 meters tall. So, it's its height that makes it 3,776 meters tall, and it is situated at the border of two prefectures, or two other landmarks, or two other things made, which are Shizuoka and Yamanashi. So Mount Fuji has been the center of mountain worship of ancient Japan. So if you look a bit at Japanese history, then Mount Fuji has been the center of mountain worship. So people also worship Mount Fuji. By this sentence, we can also know that. Today, it is a popular mountain to climb, especially to watch the sunrise, called Goraiko from the top. So, you know what? Mount Fuji is so beautiful with its snow-laden top, or you can say snow-capped mountain. But as it is a dormant volcano, people sometimes also try to climb it all the way out there, and they kind of are very fascinated just to watch the sunrise. So, what is sunrise called in Japanese language? In Japanese language, sunrise is called as goraiko. What is it called? It is called goraiko. So, let's go to the next slide. Ooh. So, just as the Indians have their own history, in which we have about Mughals, the Sultans, and others, just like that, we're gonna talk about the different periods of Japan. So, you would see in Japanese culture there are in total 17 periods. My goodness, the Japanese in total have 17 periods, man. And starting from the Paleolithic period to the Heisei period. So, which is the last period of Japan, or Japan. Sorry, not Japan, it's Japan. The Heisei period. So, but in this PPT, we'll be discussing about four of them. So, which is Jomon, Yaoi, and two others. I don't quite remember them. So, the first Europeans to arrive in Japan did so by accident rather than design. So, let's start by the history. So, Japan was settled about 3,500 years ago by Paleolithic people from the Asian mainland. At the, at the end of the last ice age, about 10,000 years ago, a culture called the Jomon developed. So, which was the first period which developed? It was the Jomon period, right? So, what's about Jomon period then? The period starting around 12,000 years ago is called the Jomon period. Now, the Jomon period is classified into six sub-periods of the incipient period: early period, middle period, end period, and last period. Okay, so what do we know about Jomon period then? So the Jomon period was the earliest or the most ancient or the first period which started in the Japanese culture. So it started around 12,000 years ago, called the Jomon period. So the Jomon period is classified into six sub-periods, which are as follows, which are the incipient period, earlier period, early period, middle period, end period, and last period. So after the last period, we can turn on to the Yayoi period. I mean, in English, you can call it Yayoi, but maybe in Japan, they might be calling them as Yaoi. Okay, so Yayoi or Yai. So, what's about the Yayoi period? The era from around 8 BC to around the 3rd century is called the Yayoi period. The term used for identifying this period originated from Yayoi-style earthenware, characteristic of this period. Agriculture-based society centered on rice cultivation was established and spread rapidly to various parts of the Japanese islands. Great! So, what do we know about the Yayoi period again? Well, the era from around 8 BC or before Christ to around the 3rd century. Now we're in the 21st century, but it's talking about the 3rd century. So, from 8 BC to the 3rd century, it is called the Yayoi period. So it's a time span, which is called the Yayoi period. So the term used for identifying this period originated from Yayoi style earthenware, characteristic of this period. So what was a characteristic of the Yayoi period? It was a Yayoi style earthenware, which was used as a characteristic in order to identify the period called Yayoi. So agriculture-based society centered on rice cultivation was established. So today also, starting from the Yayoi period, today also, one of the main occupation of the Japanese culture is farming or agriculture-based rice cultivation. And you can see people eating sushi or people eating some other kinds of dishes which are mainly made up of rice. They also eat rice pastry and bean sauce in the new year. So, next slide. So, we got the Middle Ages. So, who is this person and what is this written in Japanese, man? So, this person is called as a samurai. So, a samurai is a person who can be called as a great warrior or something like that. I don't know the exact meaning, but it's kind of like that. So, what about the Middle Ages? The country witnessed long periods of civil wars as warlords and large estate owners, which were called as daimyo. So what were the large estate owners called? The large estate owners were called as daimyo, who fought for prominence, and the central government struggled to unify Japan. Wow. On the other hand, there were developments in agriculture, commerce, and trades. The arts flourished, especially ink painting and performance arts. So Japan's Middle Ages divided into three major periods. So the Middle Ages were divided into three even more sub-periods. So what were their names? Their names were the Kamakura period, the Muromachi period, the Azuchi Moyoyama. Let me say it again. The Azuchi Momoyama period. Okay, Azuchi Momoyama period. So, what did we learn about? Sorry, what did we learn about the Middle Ages? So, in the Middle Ages, the country witnessed long periods of civil wars as warlords and large estate owners, which were called daimyo, who fought for the prominence, and the central government also was struggling in order to make make the Japan a unique country. On the other hand, there were developments in agriculture, commerce, and trade. The arts flourished, especially ink painting and performance arts. So, ink painting and performance art were given the most importance in the Middle Ages of Japan. So, after that, what do we have here after that? So, after that, we're talking about the modern time. I mean, that was not so pretty. Yeah, that's even more better. So, what about the modern time? You can already see modern time, Japan, how how advanced Japan is today. So, early modern Japan, which is called Tokugawa something, the Tokugawa polity of a closed nation class society with the feudal structure, promotion of samurai culture, early notation of nation, early notion of nation, notion of nation, intellectual history of early modern Japan, controlled contact with the outside world and its impact, imperial ideology, transition of power, Japanese understanding of modernity, emergence of a nation state and national education systems. So, what else? Also got national education systems, where some of the main or important aspects of it. You don't really see all that in this picture, man. I mean, see how advanced Japan is today. Who doesn't know Japan? So, what do we know about the climate right now? So, climate. So, the eastern Japan has hot and humid summers and cold winters with very heavy snow on the Sea of Japan side and in mountainous areas. So, western Japan has a hot and humid summers with temperatures sometimes reaching 35 degrees Celsius or above and moderate cold winters. The Okinawa and Amami have a subtropical oceanic climate. So most of Japan is in the northern temperate zone of the earth and has a humid monsoon climate with southeasterly winds blowing from the Pacific Ocean during the summer and northwesterly winds blowing from the Eurasian continent in the winter. So what do we know about the climate? So we can see the eastern part of Japan has a hot and humid summer and cold winters with very heavy snow on the Sea of Japan side. And in mountainous areas, it is also very cold and also mountains become snow capped. So the western Japan has very hot and humid summer because it is in the northern temperate zone, as we right there. It's in the northern temperate zone of the earth. So, and the moderate cold winters. That's so nice. So nice, man. Moderate cold winters. So, we also learned about the climate of two um two most well-known cities of Japan, which are Okinawa and Amami, who have subtropical oceanic climate. So most of Japan is the northern temperate zone of the earth and also has a humid monsoon climate. So humid monsoon climate means when mainly the summer season, after the summer season we have rainy season, right? So when it's summer, it becomes really humid. So when it's really humid, what happens is that it also rains. I mean, in case of Japan. So when it's humid in the land and also a lot of water vapor is received by the clouds. So, not received by the clouds. I mean, a lot of vapor is formed on the earth and they literally go up forming droplets together and they form clouds and they also rain a lot, so it's called monsoon. So in that monsoon season of Japan, it is also very humid. And during the monsoon season, they have a lot of southeasterly winds blowing from the Pacific Ocean side during the summer, and the northwesterly winds, which are blowing from the Eurasian continent in the winter. So, what do we have next? So, next we have about Mount Fuji. Again. Yeah. So what do we know about Mount Fuji this time? So this time, the creation of Mount Fuji is itself a matter of legend in Japan. The tale goes that the mountain was born in a single day. Whoa. The story relates the experiences of a woodsman named Visu. So he was awoken one night by a loud noise, seemingly coming from under the earth. My goodness. So in this box, sorry, sorry, in this box, just a minute, let me erase that one. I mean, it's so bad. Yeah. So in the first box, we could see about the creation of Mount Fuji. So Mount Fuji, no one knows the exact story actually, but Mount Fuji was kind of, there's a tale that goes on that was very popular. Maybe it may be popular even today, and maybe said by some grandparents of some grandchildren. I don't know. So because I'm not Japanese, I'm Indian. So see, so what does the tale say? The overally the tale literally says that one day a woodsman was sleeping and was awoken by a loud noise which was coming seemingly from under the earth. So kind of strange. I mean, just look how powerful his ears were. But it may be true also because it may be some spirituality for which it is still worshipped. So it was also built in one whole day. So take note of that. Okay, it's not a little um not a little mountain. Okay, it's a really big mountain. So what do we have next? We have next its near perfect symmetry, a feature rare among mountains, gives the impression that some divine being sculpted Fuji with a careful hand before encasing its peak with the widest, most pristine snow, a literal crowning glory. So, what makes Fuji a really beautiful and the most attractive tourist attraction? So, it is its near perfect symmetry. I mean, it's not so symmetrical, like perfectly symmetrical, but it is nearly very perfect symmetry it has. And a feature, which is seen very rare among mountains because mountains have very highs and very lows, and it cannot be so symmetric. But Mount Fuji is really symmetric, which makes it really important and very attractive. And it also gives the impression that some divine being sculpted Fuji with a careful hand. This means that it it is by looking at it, people also think that some divine person must have sculpted Fuji with a very careful hand. So before encasing its peak with the widest, most pristine snow, which looks like a literal crowning glory. So let me drink some water and then I'll say. Yeah. So sorry for interrupting. So now we got about the Tokyo Tower. So what on earth is so nice about the Tokyo Tower? So I know everyone must have heard the name of the Eiffel Tower and that it is so beautiful. It is in Paris. I mean, I just want to go there and click a picture with it. But don't worry, if you're in Japan and watching my video, don't worry. In Japan, you have the just the similar twin of the Eiffel Tower in the city of Tokyo. That's right. So its name is the Tokyo Tower. So standing 333 meters high in the center of Tokyo. The Tokyo Tower is the world's tallest self-supported steel tower and 3 meters taller than its model, the Eiffel Tower. Ooh, so it is taller than the Eiffel Tower, man. I didn't know that. So, built in 1958 and standing 333-meter tall, which you already know. Tokyo Tower serves as a symbol of Tokyo's rebirth after World War II. At the time of its completion, it was the tallest tower in the world, surpassing even its inspiration, the Eiffel Tower. Admission to the main observation deck is 900 yen, which is about $8 for adults, and 350 yen, which is about $3 for children, for which are 4 years old and younger. So, what do we know about Tokyo Tower? We knew about it that it is 333 meters high, which stands in the center of the city of Tokyo, and it is the world's tallest tower in terms of its support of steel, which is 3 meters taller than its model, which is the Eiffel Tower. So at the it was made actually. It is kind of like the symbol of the rebirth of Tokyo after World War II, because after World War II, Tokyo would be very bad in condition, and when Tokyo Towers was made, it can show us a symbol that this was a time when Tokyo again rose up and was so nice, just as it was before the World War also. So, also, it is taller than, okay, I said it. And in its time, when it was first made, it was the tallest building in the world. But now, if you search in Google the tallest building or tallest tower or anything, tallest tower in the world, then you would see the result is Burj Khalifa. It was built a lot later with a lot of technology, but leave it. In its time, in Tokyo Tower's time, it was the tallest, which is also not a very little achievement. So after all that, we got some trivia time, and we're gonna see about some interesting facts on Japan. So, what are they? First of all, the oldest company in the world is in Japan. Ooh, Japan is the 11th largest population in the world. Whoa, just like India. It is the second largest. It has the second largest population in the world, but Japan has 11th largest population in the world. So in Japan, there is one vending machine for every 24 people. Means just just think just think how many vending machines will be there in Japan in the present day. So Japanese melons can cost you over $200. Let me say you two more. Two more are that there are about more than 500 flavors of Kit Kat, which is a chocolate everyone likes, which you can find in Japan. More than 500 flavors of Kit Kat is found there, and also some square Japanese melons are found. So they are kind of mainly used for the decoration of house, but they're not meant for eating. But if you want, then you can also eat it. But it's just mainly used for decoration of houses. So that was it, and thank you for your attention. Goodbye. Meet you in my next video.